Since ancient times, the mystery of death has raised more questions than answers. Yet in the midst of that universal silence, a few sages have left behind unmistakable signs. One of them was Swami Sivananda, a spiritual master, a physician, and a tireless seeker of truth. In his work, What Becomes of the Soul After Death, he firmly reveals what happens when the body falls, and what remains when all visible things vanish. This video is a faithful synthesis of those teachings. Every idea presented here springs from that luminous source Sivananda bequeathed to the world, and it begins with a warning not to be taken lightly. In a world increasingly governed by materialism and external achievements, these teachings offer a vital counterpoint, a call to explore what lies beyond the physical. True knowledge, Sivananda insists, begins where the senses end and the soul awakens. There are philosophies that firmly deny the existence of the soul. To the Charvakas, the Lokayatikas, and other materialists, the soul is nothing more than a bodily function. They claim that consciousness arises from the combination of the 5 elements, much like the color red results from mixing betel leaves, nut, and lime, or as a liquor forms when various ingredients are combined. They even compare intelligence to a secretion of the brain, just as bile is secreted by the liver. Nothing that cannot be perceived by the senses deserves belief, they argue. To accept the soul's existence, they say, one must see it with the eyes. Intuitive knowledge, for them, holds no value. Their philosophy boils down to this: eat, drink, and enjoy without restraint. Once the body is reduced to ashes, no one will hold you accountable. Sivananda calls this the philosophy of the flesh. It is the doctrine of King Virochana and his followers, those who live for immediate pleasure, ignoring the soul's fate. They reject reincarnation and any post-mortem consequences. They mock those who seek truths beyond the body. Sivananda warns how this ideology has spread among modern youth, pulling them away from spirituality, sacred texts, and life's true purpose. From ancient times, the soul has been known not to be born, nor to die. It does not decay, age, or diminish. It cannot be seen, touched, or measured. Yet its existence is perceived with absolute clarity by those who cultivate subtle intuition and refined discernment. Swami Sivananda teaches that consciousness is not a byproduct of the body. It does not emerge in the brain as bile emerges in the liver. Intelligence is not a secretion. Mind, energy, and even matter receive their being from something far deeper. That transcendent source is the soul. This soul, named Atman, is eternal. It is the inner light that enables us to think, to feel emotion, to will. The body does not possess consciousness. The soul illuminates the body. Just as the sun casts its light upon the moon, so the soul sheds its radiance upon the mind. What we call personality is nothing other than a passing expression of the immortal Atman. Ancient seers, the rishis, seers, swamis, yogins, metaphysicians, and prophets did not arrive at this truth by sensory experiments, but by direct realization. Those who transcended the limitations of body and mind have perceived the eternal within themselves. Unhesitatingly, they declared, consciousness, intelligence, and bliss are attributes of the universal soul. This understanding, however, is not achieved through mere belief or dogma. It arises from inner stillness, from the deep silence where the soul reveals its truth. In solitude, in contemplation, the seeker perceives the subtle thread that connects all life, a silent awareness that neither begins nor ends. The body is woven from 5 primal elements. It changes, decays, dies. Yet the soul remains, a tranquil witness to every state. waking, dreaming, deep sleep, swoon and death. The clearest proof of its existence lies in the continuous I that persists even when all else shifts. The soul is subtler than mind, subtler than ether. It cannot be grasped with the senses, only intuited, known from within, through direct inner experience. The true sage does not identify with flesh and bones. He knows that what we truly are cannot perish. That is why he repeats the great mantra, Tattvam Asi, thou art that. Awaken from the long slumber of ignorance. Open your eyes. From time immemorial, the boundary between life and death has not always been clear. There exist states in which consciousness withdraws while the body remains, yet the soul seems absent. Swami Sivananda describes with precision 3 of these states: waking sleep, swoon, and death. Each one carries its own nature and hidden meaning. A swoon is not mere sleep. During sleep, there may be dreaming, perception, or response. But in a swoon, there is none. Nor is it death, because there may still be warmth, breath, and life. But neither is it harmless. Sivananda calls it by its gravity. A swoon is the gate to death. If any karma remains, the soul returns. If not, it departs forever. When one sleeps, the body lies calm, breathing slow and even, eyes closed. But the swooning person bears a rigid expression, open eyes, a troubled countenance. They may appear lifeless, yet if breath persists and the chest remains warm, life endures. Tradition dictates that heart and nostrils must be checked before pronouncing the final departure. A swoon arises from external causes, a blow, a fall, a shock. It is a collapse of the sensory system. According to the sages, it is an intermediate state, half approaching deep sleep, the other half nearing death. In these fragile moments, subtle energies stir. The soul hovers between dimensions, neither fully here nor completely elsewhere. At this threshold, the soul may take flight. If karma remains unsettled, the soul returns to consciousness. If its cycle is complete, it continues its journey. Sivananda points out that this knowledge is not new. It is recognized by both Ayurvedic and Western medicine. But there is something deeper. In all these states, waking, sleep, swoon, death, there is a timeless presence that does not change. It is the silent witness, the one who observes without acting. That unchanging awareness is Brahman, the eternal being. To know it is to go beyond life and death itself. Death does not strike suddenly. It is a precise, inevitable, and orderly process. The body shuts down in layers, like a lamp running out of oil. The first to disconnect are the sense organs. Sight fades, hearing closes, and touch withdraws. Then, one by one, the vital systems draw back towards the heart, their final center. Swami Sivananda describes this moment with poetic rawness. Just as an overloaded cart creaks when it moves, so too does the soul creak when leaving the body. The prana, the vital energy, leaves its residence. Following it are the mind, the senses, and the subtle elements that form the astral body. The soul does not leave empty or alone. It carries everything it has accumulated, past actions, impressions from previous lives, desires, fears, and attachments. It carries its story. The soul leaves with its karma, its actions, and the impressions of past lives. But this detachment is not smooth. It is painful. The mind falls into confusion. Memories fragment. Consciousness no longer responds as before. The soul suffers while detaching from the vital channels that bound it to matter for so long. It is a silent passage, accompanied by the echo of every deed committed. This invisible pain, though silent, resonates across dimensions. The soul, once entangled in worldly experience, now begins to see through the veils of illusion. Ancient teachings speak of this moment not as an end, but as a mirror. In that mirror, the soul sees all that it was, all it clung to, and all it must now release. Some souls resist, others surrender, and that surrender determines whether peace or struggle marks their crossing. The organs do not await a command from the soul to withdraw. They already know. Like loyal servants who sense that the king has decided to depart, they step back without being summoned. The body, once an instrument, ceases to cooperate. The Atman, the eternal self, observes everything. It remains an unmoved witness. It does not suffer. It does not stir. It simply watches. On this subtle journey, the soul is not alone. The gods who govern the elements, Agni, Vayu, Varuna, Indra, Prajapati, are present. Each assists in its domain, supporting the soul's passage out of the body. And as the soul ascends, an invisible guide, the Amanava Purusha, leads it silently. Just as one dreams upon closing the eyes, so too the soul leaves the body as the cycle closes. Just as the dreamer enters another realm without moving, the soul transitions to a new plane without physical travel. What begins here is not the end. It is merely the first step in a greater journey. Death is not a sudden event. It is a rite of passage. He who does not understand this process fears. He who does prepares. The soul does not vanish with death. When the physical body is relinquished, the soul continues its course. It does not depart alone. It is accompanied by the prana, the vital breath, the mind, the senses, and the subtle elements that form the astral body. These invisible vehicles guide it toward its next destination, beyond the reach of worldly eyes. According to Swami Sivananda, the soul never leaves without direction. Even before the body is cast aside, the soul glimpses the form it will assume next. It is like a caterpillar that before abandoning its leaf makes sure another awaits it, secure. In the same way, the soul foresees its next vessel, shaped by the laws of karma and desire. As Sivananda states, desire is the root cause of transmigration. For centuries, philosophical schools have debated how this transit occurs. The Sankhyas hold that soul and senses are omnipresent and merely resume operation in the new body. The Buddhists, assert that the mind alone carries forward and generates fresh senses. The Vaiseshikas believe only the mind migrates. The Digambara Jains liken the soul to a bird flying from one branch to another. But Sivananda rejects all those views. In his teaching, the soul travels with its senses, its mind, the prana, and the tanmatras, the subtle elements that will form the seed of the new body. The soul carries its entire history, its deeds, thoughts, impressions. That history decides whether it will return as a sage, a merchant, an animal, or a lower creature. As Sri Madhvacharya explains, actions sown in youth bear fruit through many births. The wheel of samsara does not stop with a single lifetime. Thus, the soul transmigrates from body to body, like one changing garments. Just as a smith melts down an old piece to cast a new one, the soul discards one form and adopts another more suitable, in accordance with the mold shaped by its karma. This journey is not chaotic. It is governed by unseen but unerring laws. Death is not the end, nor is birth a mere beginning. Both are stations on the eternal pilgrimage of the soul. In this grand passage, every life matters, every impulse, every thought, every act carries weight beyond the fleeting moment. Understanding this transforms life, giving every breath meaning, every decision consequence. The soul's journey is sacred, it is majestic, and it begins the moment desire ceases, or the moment we awaken to truth. Death does not mark the end of existence, it is merely a transition. According to Swami Sivananda, the soul continues its journey, guided by its past deeds, desires, and accumulated karma. Not all souls follow the same path. There are three possible routes: the path of knowledge, the path of rituals, and the path of forgetfulness. Those who attain spiritual wisdom and practice self-realization walk the path of light, known as Devayana. This leads them to Brahmaloka, the realm of the eternal. There, they enjoy a state of pure existence and eventually merge with the Absolute, never to return. Those who perform virtuous actions but remain attached to the fruits through sacrifices, charity, or rituals follow the path of the ancestors, or Pitriyana. They arrive at Chandraloka, the lunar realm, where they reap the rewards of their good deeds. But this joy is temporary. Once their merit is exhausted, they must be reborn on earth. Theirs is the third station. They live and die, again and again. Those who follow neither the path of knowledge nor of righteous duty, those who live in ignorance, devoid of devotion or morality, fall into the third path. They neither ascend to heavens nor reach liberation. Instead, they return as insects, worms, flies, dogs, pigs, or as marginal beings, trapped in endless cycles of birth and death. The descent begins with the dissolution of the subtle body. The soul passes through ether, air, smoke, mist, cloud, and rain. It falls to the earth, enters plants, is consumed as food, transforms into semen, and is finally reborn. The soul does not lose its identity. It remains bound to the karma that propels it towards its next body. For sinners, the fate is even harsher. They are led to the 7 hells, governed by Yama, the Lord of Justice. There, Chitragupta and other divine scribes administer punishments in realms of suffering, such as Raurava, Maharaurava, Vahni, Vaitarani, Kumbhika, and the eternal hells of Tamishra and Andhatamisra. The 7 hells lie under Yama's command. Chitragupta and others watch over them. Once the soul has paid its debt, it returns to resume its evolutionary process. This descent and return are governed not by chance, but by the soul's own frequency. The quality of one's thoughts, actions, and inner life becomes the compass for future existence. Even in the darkest realms, liberation is possible when the soul realizes its true nature and turns back toward the eternal source. But the marks of its previous actions remain etched within. The nature of the next birth, whether as a sage or as a beast, is neither a reward nor a punishment handed down at random. It is a precise mathematical consequence of the energy the soul has nurtured over time. This is how the universe preserves its balance. No one escapes the law of karma. The soul always reaps what it has sown. The wheel of birth and death does not stop by chance. It stops through realization. According to Swami Sivananda, liberation, known as Moksha, is not a reward, but the natural culmination of a life devoted to self-knowledge, detachment, and the dissolution of desire. The soul continues to transmigrate for as long as it harbors longing. As long as there is desire, there is karma. And where there is karma, there is rebirth. But once the soul is purified, free from worldly aspirations and attachments, when it no longer seeks pleasure, avoids fear, or clings to possession, then there is no return. He who is free from desire, being one with Brahman, merges into Brahman. In ancient texts, this state is likened to a flame that no longer flickers, steady and unchanging. It is not achieved through ritual or doctrine, but through the direct realization of one's own divine essence. This state is not reserved for the dead. The wise one who reaches this understanding while still alive is called a Jivan Mukta, liberated while living. He walks among men, yet is not like them. He inhabits a body, yet is not identified with it. He acts without ego. He observes without attachment. His mind is at peace, for he has realized the Atman, his true self. When the Jivan Mukta dies, there is no struggle, no agony. The senses do not scatter, nor do the organs fall apart. Everything merges into the self. There is no prana fleeing, no mind projecting elsewhere. Consciousness, like a single drop falling into the sea, dissolves into the Absolute. It is the end of the journey. Awaken from the long sleep of ignorance. Open your eyes. The fire of knowledge has burnt the seed of karma. There is no longer a force to trigger rebirth. No debts remain. There is no judgment, no punishment, no paradise. Only silence, presence, unity. The Mundaka Upanishad speaks plainly. He who knows Brahman becomes Brahman. Not by belief, but by direct experience. The enlightened soul does not ascend or descend. It does not come or go. It simply is. Its state cannot be described. It has no body, no form, no thought. Only a radiance without boundaries, without name. It is fullness. It is eternity. It is truth. This is the ultimate destination of the sincere seeker. It is not attained by chance. It requires discipline, discernment, and renunciation. One must sever all ties to the transient and turn wholeheartedly to the eternal. Yoga, detachment, devotion, and knowledge are the bridges to that supreme goal. He who truly grasps this no longer fears death. Instead, he begins at last to truly live. And that concludes our video. If you enjoyed the content as much as we did, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions for future videos. And don't forget to turn on notifications to stay up to date with all our updates. Thanks for being part of our community. See you in the next video.